So I've heard a lot of, sisters, and they'll be saying, you know what, if I'm going to church, I'm going to wear this dress so that some guy will see me like this, and he'll be like, and some people would join the choir with the intent that when I start singing like this, one guy from the congregation will see me and start falling for me. Or one guy is thinking that if I join the ushering department, I'll be able to show myself, and then one sister will fall, and I'll marry her, and all of that kind of thing. It's not by strategy. It's not by all of that. Hi guys, and welcome again to Universal Scroll. This is your girl Yossi, and if you're new to this channel, know that this is a platform where we talk about the scriptures and we dig deep into the knowledge of Christ, and we love to grow good Christian ambassadors and soldiers in the army of God, and to help people discover God better. We are not bound by any denomination or doctrine. We simply use the Bible as our sole standard for everything that we believe, and so we open our doors wide and welcome you to join this family by subscribing to this channel, and make sure that you click to the notification bell to get notified when we release a new video, and of course to like this video and share with everyone that you care about as well. All right, let's get started to the gist of the day. Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about how to handle being single and how to position yourself for marriage. Now, in the last video, we talked about the fact that God put the desire in our heart for us to desire a companion. So it's not something that you should feel bad about or any of that. Like, you should know that for God to put that desire in your heart because He wants to fulfill that. And do not let the desire of having a spouse overshadow you to the point where that's all you're focused on. That's all that you're thinking about. Don't let that swarm you. No, not at all. Ensure that you look at these tips that we're going to talk about today and let that guide you. So as you should, definitely pray for it. It is in the right order for you to pray for your kingdom spouse. It's important for you to pray for that person that you want to be aligned with for the rest of your life. You want to pray that God would, answer your prayers and grant you a very good husband or a very good wife. So yes, pray about it. But as I said, don't let that be your only prayer. When you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that's on your mind. You want to move about in your day, that's the first thing on your mind. That's all that you think about. That's all you pray about. You just swam by it. None of that. So there are 4 people that we're going to look at today, and they are Ruth, Rebecca, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, these people, we can learn so much about their lives in regards to how they moved from single state to the married state. Now, one thing that we need to bear in mind is that we need to first of all seek God in everything that we do. The Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and every other thing will be added unto us. That includes your spouse. So our focus should not be on getting a spouse. Our focus should be on God. Our focus should be on serving God. Our focus should be on doing the kingdom agenda. Our focus should be on just discovering God better and growing spiritually, and God will direct our path. So we need to trust God. Let our focus not be on our earthly wisdom, on how we can calculate and get married. So I've heard a lot of sisters, and they'll be saying, you know what, if I'm going to church, I'm going to wear this dress so that some guy will see me like this, and he'll be like, and some people would join the choir with the intent that when I start singing like this, one guy from the congregation will see me and start falling for me. Or one guy is thinking that if I join the ushering department, I'll be able to show myself, and then one sister will fall, and I'll marry her, and all of that kind of thing. It's not by strategy. It's not by all of that. You need to move in the leading of God. So let your focus be on God, and you'll find your spouse in the process. God is going to lead you to your spouse. If you look at Ruth, now Ruth wasn't even like a godly woman in the beginning, but she decided to align with Naomi. She decided that Naomi's people would be her people and her God would be her God, and so she left all that she knew to align with Naomi. So she was transformed from being the Moabite to an Israelite. She was transformed to being a woman of God. And if you look at Rebecca was also a woman of God. You see that from even all of her disposition and how she was able to align and move in the leading of God to meet her kingdom spouse. And Isaac, of course, who was Abraham's son was also taught in the stead of God, to obey God, to serve God, and to love God. And of course, he followed in the steps of his father. And the same thing for Jacob, his son. His son also followed in the stead of his father, and they served God well. They served God diligently. So we see that these four people were people that were children of God. They loved God, they served God, and they did not just walk amiss. They were led by God. Now, another thing about them was that they worked diligently. If you look at Ruth, Ruth was a hard worker. Ruth did not just sit down in the house and just faff around. She decided to go into the fields to work. And you see that even when Boaz got report about her, he got good report about the way she was, the way she treated Naomi, and the way she did her work. So he had a good report about her. So even when you are busy in your place of work, on in whatever thing that you are doing that God has laid in your heart to do, ensure that you do it with the best of your ability. Ensure that you do it with all of your heart. Don't just do things shabbily. Don't just do things anyhow, because you never know. Now, it's not because of just getting a husband or getting a wife. It's about you being excellent in all you do and shining the light of Christ, the light of excellence in all that you do, and your work speaks for you. So it's good to leave a good mark wherever you go. If Boaz got there and he was getting bad reports about Ruth, that she was a naughty girl, she was a bad girl, she was not serious at work, she was like this, she was like that, do you think that he would have actually aligned with her? Definitely not. He would have just bolted away and be like, this is not for me. But he had gotten good report, and so he loved her, he cared about her, and wanted to date her, he wanted to marry her. Now, if you look at Rebecca as well, she was also a very hardworking woman. She was going to the stream to fetch water, to actually feed and water the animals. So she wasn't just sitting down at home just faffing around and not doing anything tangible. She was actually in her business. It was in the course of her doing her daily chores that she met the person that would lead her to her husband anyways. And Isaac was busy with his father's work. He was busy doing his work. So Abraham had to send a servant, and the man knew that he had to get somebody that was good and was godly. And so the servant even depended on God to lead him to the right spouse for his master's son. And of course, even Jacob, he did not just do things by himself and all of that. Even though he was running away and he came to Laban and all of the things that he did then, he was still moving in the stead of direction from God, and he was moving in the right direction to meet with his kingdom spouse. So everything works together for the good of those who love God. That's the truth. Every single thing, even some of the mistakes that we think we've made, or some of the bad occurrences that have happened, everything still comes back to work for our good if we love God. So that was the case of these people. They worked diligently, and it's important for us as Christians, as singles, to also work diligently, because our work speaks for us. And it's in the course of us doing what God has asked us to do that God would align us with our kingdom spouse. So Ruth was led by God. Naomi gave her some instructions on where to go and work, and even after that, Naomi told her to go to meet Boaz, and she obeyed everything that Naomi instructed her to do, and that was the beginning of her new testimony. So it's important to have a godly mentor in your life, because they can actually push you in the right direction into getting your breakthrough. And the same thing with Rebecca. It was obvious that she was walking in the leading of God, because the servant that Abraham sent prayed a prayer and was like, what, God, the woman that you would have for my master's son, ensure that she does X, Y, Z, ensure that she feeds my sheep, and she gives me water to drink, and it just listed some amazing things, and she did all of that. And it also showed her nature. She was a kind person, she was a loving person, so she was actually a nice person. So she walked in the leading of God, and so she was able to align with the direction to meet with that man at that particular appointed time. And that also goes for Isaac, because Isaac became her husband. And the same thing for Jacob. He was able to get to that place, and regardless of the circumstances that resulted in him getting there, it's still aligned with him getting to meet Rachel and loving her and getting to marry her, even when her father was trying so many tactics to get him away from her, like to give him another substitute. He still knew what he wanted and went for it. So it's very important to be led by God, so that you're not just doing some unnecessary work. You're not just going up and down and going helter-skelter. I think one of the reasons why Jacob had a tough time was because he also duped somebody in his way coming there. So even though he was going to get the woman eventually, he actually paid for some of the naughty things that he did. So I think that's why he was also duped as well. So, let's not do things shadily. Let's just ensure that we are working and being led by God, so that every of our steps will be aligned properly, and in the perfect time, God will allow us to meet that person, and there will be that communication that needs to be done, and things will start moving in that direction of marriage. So you don't need to start strategizing. It's very important not to do this, because I know that people, they do this a lot. Let God lead you. If not, you're going to put yourself into trouble, because you will meet the wrong person, and that can be very terrible. Now, as we said in the last video, ensure that you grow yourself. Yes, you cannot be waiting for your spouse to grow you. Yes, you guys would grow one another, but there's that notion that I know that some singles have, that it's like, I want a man that would motivate me in the way of God. So you're waiting for that man that would ginger you. Meanwhile, the man too wants a woman that would ginger him. So who's going to ginger the other person? Like, really? So don't be waiting for your spouse to be the one that will motivate you to be deeper with Christ, or to be deeper in so many areas of your life. Ensure that you love yourself enough to grow yourself spiritually, to grow yourself mentally, to grow yourself in all areas of your life. So develop yourself. Get to learn so many skills that will be helpful for you in your life, because the more, this single state is when you can learn a lot of things. I talked about it in the previous video, so I won't dwell too much on it today. So ensure that you develop yourself. It is crucial. It is really, really crucial, because you see that these people were busy doing their work. So grow yourself, educate yourself, discover your purpose, and work in line with that purpose. It's not, it's important for you to discover your purpose even before you even get married. It's not like you have only one purpose in life, because God is going to keep on moving you and it begins to unveil things more to you as you begin to obey the one that He has assigned to you. Just about the parable of the talents, when you fulfill one, it will double it, and things like that. So as you begin to fulfill your purpose in God, He'll begin to open up more details to you and all of that. But ensure that you actually align with God, and you know the purpose that you're running with at that season. So discover what God wants you to do and begin to do that. So don't wait until you now find your spouse before you now start saying, okay, I want him to motivate me to be more deeper in with Christ, and I want her to motivate me to become serious with Lord. If I can get a very good woman that is very serious, it will actually help me. I've heard that kind of story before, that if I get a good woman that is very in line with God, she will make me more serious with Christ. And I'm like, the woman that is very deep with Christ wants a man that would actually ginger her to be deeper. So I mean, she doesn't want to start pulling somebody. So ensure that you are building yourself as well, so that you're not pulling somebody down and somebody is not spending too much time trying to pull you up. All right, you got the message? Okay, now ensure you enjoy this state. Don't be doing testing. And when I mean testing, I mean dating here, dating there. Don't be doing testing, because we are children of God. This is not the story for those in the world. This is about we believers. We are not to be doing testing to say, I want to see how it goes. Oh, I like this babe, I ask her out. We are now dating to see how it will go. Maybe it will lead into marriage. So what if you now date her for like a few months and now discover that, oh, she's not the one, then you break somebody's heart? I mean, why are you doing testing? Are you not supposed to be led by God to meet your spouse? So don't go and date anybody that God has not led you to. Don't waste your time. Don't align with the wrong person. If you like somebody, be friendly with them, be nice to them, build good Christian friends around you of different sexes, and you can be all friends and be loving and nice to one another. As always, as Christians, we're not going to be engaging in anything like sex or any of that. So what's the difference really? So just be friendly, be nice, get to know the person, and in the course of that friendship and get to know the person, if God wills it for you to be aligned with the person in marriage, then he would reveal it to you as you begin to pray. So once you start developing feelings, and then you know how to ask God about it and let him lead you aright. So stop doing dating. Okay. Yeah, some people like to hear this particular message, but I have said what I have said. So that's it about you handling being single and positioning yourself for marriage. It's not about you doing it from the way of the world by being all strategic and all of those things, but first of all, seeking God and letting God be the one to lead you to your partner, and ensuring that in the course or in the process of it, you are developing yourself, you are growing yourself spiritually and in all areas, so that by the time you meet this person, there'll be, a great connect and you guys can move on to greater heights together. So to the quiz of the day. In the last video, we talked about dealing with loneliness while single. So mention 3 tips that you can remember regarding that. And if you cannot remember all of them, then ensure that you watch that video again, because you need to let that be a part of you. So I hope this video has been of a blessing to you. Please ensure that you subscribe to this channel and that you click the notification bell to get notified when we release a new video, and of course like this video and share with your friends and family so that they can join this universal united Christian family. Love you guys. We can hang out on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Love you all and see you in the next video. Bye.